Microsoft wants to bring back the PDA, a personal digital assistant as in a pocket-sized PC, rather than AI-powered virtual assistants such as Cortana or Siri. Specifically, the company is reportedly working on Andromeda, a folding device with 2 screens, set to be part of its Surface family. The question on everyone's lips: why would anyone want to bring back the PDA? The answer: ever tried getting work done on an iPhone? At the end of June, The Verge obtained leaked internal documents describing a new pocketable Surface device form factor that brings together innovative new hardware and software experiences to create a truly personal and versatile computing experience that will blur the lines between mobile and stationary computing, with an unspecified 2018 release date. The Andromeda name was first uncovered by Walking Cat in Windows composable shellcode in February 2017. Further mentions of support for Andromeda OS and Factory OS Andromeda device appeared elsewhere in Windows 10's code and software. The Surface Go is Microsoft's latest play for kids. Speculation based on purported teasers from Microsoft Surface boss Panos Panay points at a potential partnership with LG Display to develop screens for the potential Pocket PC. It's also widely presumed that the Surface Andromeda would feature an ARM processor, with sources close to Microsoft reporting that the company has been testing Qualcomm's forthcoming Snapdragon 1000 chip based on the ARM Cortex-A76 CPU, with support for up to 16 GB of RAM and 128 GB of internal storage. The patents we've seen give a good idea of the most likely physical design that Andromeda would have. Filings describe a flexible hinge to allow a pair of screens to be positioned to form laptop, tablet or self-supporting triangular configurations, complete with a mechanism to allow such a hinge to rotate. Microsoft seems set on using a second screen as a keyboard, which may not be a particularly comfortable option if you have a lot of typing to do. As we found when using a similar system on Lenovo's Yoga Book, with no physical keys, typing accurately and quickly is an uncomfortable challenge. Early PDAs, like the Psion Series 3 and Apple Newton, wanted to bring the data storage and communication capabilities of a PC into a portable form. But they fell by the wayside with the development of smartphones, which in part evolved from PDAs, and increasingly high-speed mobile broadband networks. Microsoft's E3 2018 conference shows that Xbox is sort of back now. The key problem is that smartphone screens are unwieldy when it comes to getting work done on the move, especially if a lot of typing is involved, while tablets, once paired with stands and Bluetooth keyboards, are only marginally more convenient than an ultra-portable laptop. While the first pocket computers helped business people keep track of contacts and expenses on the move, those features are adequately served by a smartphone. The audience for a modern PDA is as likely to include software developers, communications specialists and journalists, or anyone else who likes to work on the move and needs more features than a phablet can offer. Image from Microsoft patent for a hinged personal computing device. Microsoft designer Christian Croyer, co-CEO and founder of international design studio Swift Creative, says that, ironically enough, there's room for improvement when it comes to making phone calls with a smartphone. But for other types of communication it's still the best product out there, he argues. The success of the smartphone is that you can have all in one. The flip side is that it's not optimized for any of it. A number of companies are investigating the future of PDAs and PDA-like devices. Samsung is developing folding smartphone technology, and one specialist manufacturer, Planet Computers, already has a modern PDA on the market. The Gemini is a clamshell device with a physical keyboard, dual-boot Android and Linux operating systems, 10 ARM CPU cores and a 5.7 inches touchscreen. The inside story of Microsoft's surprising Gears of War 5 reveal. Planet Computers CEO Dr. Janko MRSIC Flogel says the needs of PDA users now are different to those of 20 or 30 years ago. Society has changed. We live in a 24/7 always-on world where we need to respond to emails and work whilst traveling, he explains. More people now want to create content, as opposed to just consume it, and a modern PDA is the tool that enables them to do that quicker and more effectively than your average smartphone. MRSIC Flogel also argues that the popularity of virtual keyboards on small devices, which take up half of a device's screen, makes it very difficult to get stuff done. Instead, consumers have had to rely on carrying other devices like tablets or laptops. Planet Computers' 2018 Gemini PDA has a physical keyboard. Planet Computers' Simon Murrell. From a design perspective, Croyer emphasizes that a modern PDA should be small enough to carry and big enough to be useful. But for this to work, he continues, developers will need to rethink app design. We need someone who dares to take risks and put changing products to market with the risk of failing, Croyer says. To get to new innovations, we need companies who dare to prototype in the market. The success or failure of Planet Computer's Gemini may provide exactly that kind of real-world proof of concept. Initially crowd-funded, the company has shipped approximately 6,000 units to backers since February and recently opened to new orders. While impressive, such numbers are infinitesimally small to a company operating at Microsoft's scale. User feedback has been positive, says MRSIC Flowgel, with particularly popular features being the device's keyboard, long battery life and pocketability. This, unlike an iPad, being a device that is small enough to slip into a pocket. People want to be able to use a device on the train to work or when out for lunch and access its functions whenever they want without hassle, he says. The most frequent feature requests for future iterations include a backlit keyboard, a second external display and the inclusion of a fingerprint reader and NFC. Is it really a good idea to dump data centers at the bottom of the sea? Although there are plenty of Andromeda-shaped clues to be found, from patent applications to source code, Microsoft's keeping mum about any actual release plans. Most recently, it's emerged that Andromeda OS support won't be going into the forthcoming major autumn update of Windows 10, codenamed Redstone 5. The future of phones is folding. Sources speaking to ZDNet's Mary Jo Foley have indicated that the portable computer may have fallen victim to internal reorganization following the departure of Windows and Devices Group Chief Terry Myerson, and that there's still no compelling reason for Microsoft to come to market with its current iteration of a small, dual-screen mobile device. Meanwhile, Microsoft has just released a budget tablet in the form of the Surface Go, a £301, 10-inch tablet with an optional keyboard and Surface Pen sold separately. Andromeda isn't the first dual-screen device Microsoft has prototyped in recent years. The Courier, cancelled in 2010, was to have been a digital journal aimed at creatives, while the folding, 7-inch Surface Mini was developed and trialed internally before being cancelled in 2014. If, unlike its predecessors, the Andromeda project does come to fruition, Croyer says that it would be a bold move on Microsoft's part to stay in the market long enough to build momentum among developers and customers. It will probably never be a mass-market category like the current smartphone, he says. But it doesn't need to in order to be an excellent product that serves the specific needs for a segment of users. The market is so big that a niche can be big business.